Now it's time to talk about the movie of the week, The Monkey. It's been basically the last couple of years been like the years or of the monkey, the year of the monkey, the years of the monkey, because you had a lot of monkey related, movies and TV shows, and the latest is out in movie theaters now. John went to see it. Liz is going to see it soon. So I wanted to start off with you, John. What are your thoughts on this? I don't think we're gonna get too far into the spoilery territory.
No,
because,
I'm not gonna talk
if you guys
about
haven't
spoilers.
seen it yet, we don't want to spoil it for you. But John, what do you think about The Monkey? You went and saw it. Give us your thoughts and would you recommend it?
Now I am a little bit biased because I have loved pretty much every Osgood Perkins movie, with the exception of Gretel and Hansel. I think that's his only weak movie. It's still pretty good. It just feels like a diet version of The Witch, and not in a good way. It's very slow and very boring. And it kind of just goes through the motions, not very interesting. But the rest of his films I have loved. If you follow me on Letterboxd, you can see that every single one of his movies outside of Gretel and Hansel, I've given a 5 out of 5, and that includes The Monkey. I would probably give it a 9.5 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. I thought it was genuinely fantastic. It's not going to be for everyone. It's not going to be the type of movie that hits for everyone, but I thought it worked very well as something that on the surface is entertaining fluff, but below the surface is something a little more. Now, I think Theo James gave a great performance as the dual role of Bill and Hal Shelbourne. I thought it had just so many genuinely funny moments. This had more funny moments in it than most comedies that come out nowadays, but more so, genuinely so. They're not accidental. The idea is silly. This is a very silly and exaggerated sense of reality. It's not totally real, and I like it when you could tell it takes place in the real world, but it's not quite. I think that enhances what it's going for. And I thought you could see her, Elijah Wood. He's in it for 5 minutes. He's not in it for very long. Tatiana Maslany, she has definitely redeemed herself from She-Hulk Attorney at Law. But I saw her on Broadway, so that was already clear for me. But if you're this bitch sucks, she's not. Go see this movie. She's great in it. But I think Osgood Perkins is definitely trying to branch out of his wheelhouse. His first two movies feel very similar, very slow, atmospheric, build upon kind of supernatural, demonic kind of movies. Black Coat's Daughter, which had Emma Roberts, Kiernan Shipka, and Lucy Boynton in it. Very well done, very creepy. I'm the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, one of the most underrated and greatest horror films that have come out this century. It did have a little bit more of a supernatural edge to it, but it took it had a clear use of shadows and knew how to make you unsettled. I think Gretel and Hansel, I think that was a stepping stone for him. I feel because of that movie, even though it didn't do everything that I wish it could have done, it was a period piece for him. That was new for him. So maybe it just didn't hit his stride. But I like how he experimented with it. And then Longlegs was more like a crime thriller horror drama. So had the same feel as his other movies, but still felt very different. This was totally something new. This was Final Destination meets Terrifier in a way, except way better than both. You know what it feels like? It feels like drugged up Stephen King wrote this movie, and I think that was the intention. Like, this is Stephen King on drugs entertainment, and I mean that as a full compliment. This movie was just like a fever dream, and it does. Haha. It's a total fever dream. It's surreal. It's weird. It has a lot of bonkers imagery. It's just insane. It's insane. And I love what they did with. And you also have plenty of Stephen King Easter eggs. I won't spoil them here, but you'll know when you see them if you're a big Stephen King fan like I am. At least in the movies. I still need to get through some of his books, but I'm a terrible reader nowadays. But for the most part, yeah, I thought this was extremely entertaining, but what I liked beneath the surface, unfortunately, I can't get into it without spoiling stuff, which I won't get into, but I feel like there is more of like a meta-ness to the whole thing, because I feel like when you see certain things happen in the movie, it feels like Osgood Perkins is making fun of it, and I really liked that, especially if anybody who here has seen it and watched it, especially during the ending. I feel like that's definitely a commentary on certain aspects of films nowadays, and I really liked that. And I think, but I won't get too far into that. But overall, I thought this was very fun. A lot of blood, not crazy amounts like Terrifier 3, but it has like on maybe a little bit less than like Hard Eyes, but yeah, it's like somebody on coke wrote this movie, and I think that was the intention. This definitely feels like, yeah, coked out Stephen King writing this. I haven't read the original short story, so I don't know how it compares to that. I don't know. I think Osgood Perkins said, he's like, I was originally going to call it Stephen King's The Monkey, but it just kind of became its own thing because there's only so much you can adapt from a short story to a film that you have to like embellish certain things and change certain things to make it work, and I think it worked. Again, it's not going to be for everybody. I've heard mostly mixed things. Some people hate it. Some people thought it was like, it was pretty good, but lesser than Longlegs. But I loved it. I do think it's probably my third favorite of his movies. I prefer, my favorite of his is I'm the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. I think that was I was gobsmacked with how amazing that movie was. And then my second favorite is probably Longlegs, then Blackcoat's Daughter, then Gretel and Hansel. But like those top four are like 9.5 to 10. I would say this is probably a 9.5. There's some half-baked ideas that didn't go anywhere, but outside of that, I think it worked. I really liked it a lot. I highly recommend it. But if you don't like it, I would not be shocked. So
yeah, I mean,
that is my review of The Monkey.
Look, when you look at the Rotten Tomatoes rating, 77% for the critics, 72% for the audiences. 73% is a low number for audiences, relatively speaking. But I mean, this isn't necessarily the kind of movie that everybody would love anyway. But by the way, Antonio stopping by in the chat. I also had Fiona earlier, moderator Fiona now. Liz, I think you missed that update. Fiona now moderates the chat, so be careful what you put in there. But as far as
I'm not scared.
I'm just saying. By the way, deadline. The Monkey, as we talked about, it's already playing in theaters, so it's off to a good start. It's looking at potentially doing up to 14 million at the opening weekend, which would be a second best debut for a Neon movie. Captain America: Brave New World, of course, is leading in mid to high 20s, which is a big drop from its opening weekend. That's a huge drop, actually. But as far as The Monkey goes, I think it's aiming for like close to like $1.5-2 million to start on opening day or previews, which has already happened, and now for the whole weekend, 14 million isn't a bad number. Second highest for Neon. I think that's can only bode well for the movie. Also, I saw this article today, and I think we're not gonna go into it in too much detail, but Osgood Perkins was talking about how he was very creative and kind of like been out of his usual toolbox, like you said, John, with this movie and giving it a bit of a personal touch. Gallons of blood. So I recommend you guys give this a read. It's in Variety. So the movie overall looks very interesting. Theo James, I just love that he's diversifying his portfolio of works. So guys, let us know what you thought about the movie. Did you see it? Have you been interested in seeing it? Angelica says she's gonna go see it on Monday. So let us know in the comments down below what you thought about the movie The Monkey. Of course, John, I believe, gave it a recommend, and Liz will go see it in a couple of days.
I'm seeing it on Sunday. Can't wait.
I'm sure we'll talk about it again and get Liz's thoughts on the movie. But in the meantime, guys, hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. We do movie reviews on the channel once a week, every week, sometimes twice a week, actually. We did some on Monday, and now we're doing it again on Friday. So be sure to stop by here for your favorite movie reviews.